Mohammed, so like when you're implementing these digital programs, what do you think are the key factors for success?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, the key factor, the first key factor or the first thing to even look at is because if it's not simple enough, people on site specifically will not use it. And in general, people tend to use just the simple software, not the complex ones.
So it is a growing focus in construction. How can technology be harnessed to promote sustainable building practices on construction site?
Yeah, I'll take just one aspect which I see digital transformation or digital construction can massively assist in this aspect. So as an example, during the design and enhancing the or controlling what we introduce newly to the environment.
So for people that are working maybe in traditional construction roles like project management on site, how would they go about transforming or evolving their career into digital construction space? Any advice and tips you can share?
My advice to superintendents or any construction professional who would like to seek like a career in digital construction to technology, because this is part of the process.
What is the secret to successfully implementing digital construction? On this episode of Bricks and Bytes, we welcome Mohamed Adel, Director of Digital Construction at Bird Construction. Mohamed shares how digital solutions are purchased and implemented at Bird. We also discuss how tech providers should sell their solutions to general contractors, why pricing models are key to the successful adoption, the importance of culture change in implemented digital construction, and what technology Mohamed believes will drive digital transformation the most. If you're enjoying our podcast, you can support us by heading over to www.bricksbytes.show and signing up to our newsletter. This is an easy and free way which helps us keep the podcast going. In addition, you'll receive each of the key insights from all episodes, as well as some bonus content about what's going on in the wider world of construction tech. This episode is brought to you by Shift, helping contractors like you leverage BIM to secure a leading position in the race towards digital construction future. Mohamed, Digital Construction Director for Bird Construction. So Bird Construction is a general contractor based in Canada, right?
Yeah, it have offices all over the country from coast to coast.
Okay. Yeah. So digital construction, what happened? How did you get there?
That's a very good question. So before I start, even thanks for having me today. And my passion for its construction and its digital transformation has very deep roots. So I grew up in Egypt, Cairo, Egypt,
Nice.
in a family where construction is deeply ingrained. So my father is a seasoned construction professional, and he greatly influenced me. His dedication to embracing construction and even technology within the construction at the time really made me have this passion towards how things can, or how technology can change how a construction site works. So I vividly remember when he started learning about Primavera P6. And at the time it was new, and he spent countless hours studying how a project can be created in such program. And then he implemented that on his own project, and he immediately found, great results. And then later on, I moved to Dubai, which deepened my passion towards construction, because as you know, everyone knows that Dubai is where construction project dreams turned into a reality.
Yes.
So yeah. So, and also it provides a backdrop of innovation, and this really fueled me into the innovation and the passion towards digital transformation. So starting my career there as a design coordinator, I was drawn into the untapped potential of BIM and VDC. At the time, it was called BIM and VDC. Now we call it, at least in Bird, digital construction, in how this can transform the construction process. And I think there is a pivotal moment in my career that really changed my direction, working just in construction as a traditional construction professional, into what I'm doing right now. So I was working on a 100-story building in Dubai at the time, and we faced a significant design change. Wait for it, implementing a full-length panoramic lift on the external facade of the already completed structure. Yeah, and the slabs even was pre-stressed slabs.
So it's one of these cheap changes that happened during the project, yeah?
100%, yeah. Yeah. So the project was on hold. So the client wanted to add something unique about the project, just to, intrigue the interest of the buyers. But this was really significant because the impact on every aspect of the project was significant. So you can't imagine the complexity of adding this massive structure on the completed massive structure. I mean, the new structure to the concrete, already complete.
Which building was that?
It's the second tallest in the Middle East. It's called Marina 101. It's 101-story building. It's a 425-meter high building.
Is it the one next to Plaza?
I don't recall, but I think so. Yeah, yeah. So I don't think it's completed yet. Still, it's ongoing. I think it's on hold or something. But as far as I know, I don't think it's completed. But this really shaped how I want to continue my career. So while I was studying this design change and trying to find solutions, I found BIM. Yeah, this is much more efficient way to handle this complex design change. Not only in terms of coordination, also in terms of simulation, how this structure would be installed on site on this completed structure. So it was a unique design change, and I'm glad for it that it changed and steered my career towards digital construction.
Nice.
Okay, so for a company like Bird Construction, how do you guys see BIM? And I'm sure that this is not something that you implemented recently, but it's been with the business for a while. What is BIM to a contractor like you?
That's a very good question, actually. So before I even joined Bird, BIM was there in Bird for the past maybe 5 years or even more before I joined Bird. So let's say 10 years ago, BIM was there implemented in Bird. But when we started, or when I started my career with Bird Construction, we tried, not only me, everyone who I worked with the executives, tried to look at BIM in a different aspect. So we looked at BIM as the digital transformation for the construction industry. And I truly believe this, something lacking in the current BIM implementations all over the world, that no or very few companies looked at BIM and VDC as the digital transformation for the business. So look at the manufacturing industry. They are not just having patches of digital transformation in the process. Their full process is digitized. However, in construction, we do bits and pieces of it, or even duplication of process. So usually the BIM teams or the digital construction teams, they handle any technological stuff, and the people on site usually will just continue using their traditional process. So it's a duplication of work. I don't see it as efficiency. Makes people more interested in technology and seeing or trying to adapt to new processes, but I think it's duplication of work. So what we have done in Bird, we have created a program that trying to digitize what people are doing. And when I say people are doing on site, I'm just simplifying the process. But the program is for every aspect of the construction industry. So starting from the pursuit to the handover and the facility management. So even from the design, for sure, if we have design build project. So, but I focus more, and this is something I like because I was on site at some point of time. So I like to work with construction people on site to digitize what they are doing and to truly replace the process they are doing with a new process, not only to have patches to the process itself. Wow. So long story short, we have created this program so that it is a 5 to 7 years program. It's not 1 or 2 years program, so that we can progressively and gradually change the projects or how Bird operates and implements digital construction in our projects and deeply integrated into the process.
Okay, so for a company like Bird, when you're undertaking or making the first steps within a digital program, where do you start? Like, what do you look at, and what do you think? Yeah, we need some digital solution for this.
Yeah, so we start with a strategic overview of how we do things first, and we work with the people who truly do the work, not only the people on site, any aspect of the business. We sit with them, understand how they do the work, what's their process, what tools they are using now, what are their pain points, and then we start by mapping all these processes out and see how these processes can be more efficient without looking into any technology first. So the most important thing is to first try to streamline this workflow. And then from there, we can say that, yeah, maybe these solutions are suitable for this process. And we don't digitize for the sake of digitization, for sure. We want to have it more efficient, even if it's very simple digital tool. It will be sufficient for the process. We will implement it right away. And in my opinion, the most or the key factor in selecting, maybe I'm jumping the questions now, but the key factor is the ease of use, because there is no meaning for a tool to be super complex for at least on the user interface side. And it is a great tool, but it's super complex. So people will, the first thing they will drop it's this tool for sure.
So what are some areas that you are you have recently digitized, should we say, or maybe some examples of an area that you're currently looking at?
Yeah, so the program is divided into levels or tiers of implementation. So the tiers of implementation is not like the BIM maturity regular two levels, which is implemented in the UK, but it is something internal. So, and why I'm bringing this up, because we try to focus on the implementation of the program because it's multi-phased program. So we start with the pillar processes first, something like the model authoring. This is the key fundamental of the process, but also we go even into the look ahead schedule. So when we try to digitize or to fully digitize and integrate BIM and VDC practices into an activity like look ahead schedules, as an example. So we first define who's doing what, and we talk with the people and understand from them if this process will be really effective on their end or not. And something like the look ahead schedule, we don't just produce a video for the people to just see for, in my opinion or my experience, for 1 minute or 5 minutes, and they say, yeah, this is a great video showing us the look ahead for the project. But we truly create an environment that people be immersed in it, and they themselves navigate into this environment so that they choose what look ahead schedules they want to see, and themselves as well to place any logistics items, as an example. So I think the key transformation we are doing now is the culture change. So instead of people only using BIM tools, and in other terminologies as well, services, and I don't like the term services when it comes to BIM and VDC, because it implies that, yeah, it's something we can use or we can choose from. But in my opinion, it is something deeply integrated into the process. There is no difference between we build virtually and we build physically. It's just mirroring of the two processes, and change the culture of people only using 2D databases, rows, like many of the project management tools you see today, to a more model-centric environment. So this is what we are working on now, to change the culture of just working in 2D to a more model-centric environment that embraces the model elements as our true products to be delivered at the end on the site.
So it's interesting when you say model-centric environment. That means that everyone, every stakeholder of the project needs to use the same software, the same model to apply changes and to have these changes visible. That's in theory, or am I mistaken? But if not, then do we have a solution right now which is good to work for everyone on the same model, same software, so the data can be transferred from one stakeholder to another?
I don't think so. I don't think this solution is available. So that's why when I mentioned it's an environment. So you are exactly correct. So when I say environment, it's not only one environment, because there is no one solution. So we use 3 or 4 environments now to achieve or to simulate what happens on site, what truly happens on site. We are not really bothered with this fact right now, because these environments are kind of syncing together. So if you are on one environment, it will be the same information on the other environment. It's not the ideal process. It's not the process which we aim for. And the theory, as you mentioned, it's one environment for everyone working there. Maybe there will be a solution existing like this someday, but from experience, seeing all the other technological solutions out there in BIM, or even the regular technology stuff, I don't think there is one tool sufficient for everything. Just see like Microsoft, or Microsoft products. There is no one tool, and they struggle too much to even consolidate everything in one tool. But I think they were not successful, so they segregated into different tools at the end of the day. But we might see one environment or one solution having all these environments together.
Yeah, because like the industry, everyone kind of says that they use AutoCAD, which is Autodesk, and Revit, obviously. But when I was recently on one of the conferences or meetings, and there was Foster and Partners architects presenting their projects and the like cutting edge technology that they use within the design, they don't use this software. They have their own software which they designed for themselves that allows them to do what they want. That was interesting to find out that one of the best architectural firms in the world really is not using what is mainstream, but it has to use something that they invent themselves so that so the software can meet their expectations. Which kind of, I struggle with the point that we will get one solution which allow people to collaborate if this solution is not good for the best people in the industry. So I just can't see it. I don't know.
I think if there is one solution, it needs to be open source, because we don't want any, something like, as you mentioned, Autodesk products. So we don't want just one sole vendor to control the market. So if there is one solution, I see it. I'm a little bit of techie person, so just see Python. So Python is an open source. And now there are many software is developed using Python, but still it's open source. So the core of the software or what they use is still open source. I think this might be the approach, or might be what's coming in construction, especially after all this generative AI stuff. I think it will change the construction dramatically.
Mohamed, so like when you're implementing these digital programs, what do you think are the key factors for success?
So as I mentioned before, the first key factor, or the first thing to even look at is the user interface. Because if it's not simple enough, people on site specifically will not use it. And in general, people tend to use just the simple software, not the complex ones. So this is part of the user experience and in the implementation piece. But also, as I mentioned, we have all the processes laid out. And if the software is achieving the bare minimum of this process or this process map, then it might be, a good solution to even discuss. So to discuss how it will be integrated into our systems. So this is the other key stuff, which a good segue to my next point is the integration with other software. I think today it's not about building just one software that is sufficient for everything. I think the really successful software, the software or the solution which will talk best with other software, not necessarily embedded in what the software itself. So with all the, again, back to AI buzzword, I know, but it is now really simple to build an integration between one software and another, because even non-programmers can do that today with generative AI. So I think more and more people in construction will adapt to generative AI, and they will develop their own solutions to have their current solutions talking to other solutions just using APIs or even code, script, or whatever, using generative AI. So I think the successful software would be the one which talks everyone's language, in my opinion.
Yeah, it comes back to ease of use, I guess, like making it as user friendly as possible. Do you have, Mohammed, what's like, aside from VDC, BIM, whatever you want to call it, digital construction, do you also have a solution, like people that are building technology approach you to use their software that they're creating, like the startup world?
Yeah, definitely. And we encourage that for sure, because if we are just stuck in our bubble, we will be left behind. So we try to make balance between what we are currently implementing and what we introduce newly to the process. So we have kind of an intake. It's not a structured intake process, but at least it's structured in like verbally, or everyone knows that this is the intake process. But we are looking into structuring that. So the intake process is first to see if this is worth our time first or not. So to see it if it achieves the main things which we are focusing on, the environment focus, which we are trying to digitize right now, and it have kind of, or the bare minimum aspect of it. We arrange an introduction meeting so that we understand what is this software, and if they are over promising, as we discussed in the beginning before the recording, because a lot of software, they just over promise without real impact or real delivered solutions. So this is something we first evaluate, and then if it really is sufficient, or if it's sufficient to what we do, and we see the potential, we invite more people to the discussion so that we have different perspectives on how people see using the software. And if we saw the interest, we will arrange a pilot project with them, either paid or even free. A lot of companies are providing free, and I really like the free ones, not because they are free, because because they are inviting you, so they don't have something to hide. They are telling you, you can use my software and tell me your feedback even. But I have seen it myself. Some other providers, they don't provide any free trials, and they provide costly pilot projects. Not sure why. And they also dictate certain period of time that you use the software. This is ridiculous. And but this is one of the intake processes. But also we are in touch with universities, so with the master degree, the people who are preparing masters or PhD. So we invite them, we work with them to develop their like capstone projects. This is another aspect. And another aspect is startups, as you mentioned. We just meet them in events or through introductions, and then we take it from there. And if we found it a viable solution, we proceed further.
So from your point of view, from GC's point of view, what's the typical sale cycle length from your side? Like, is it the decision making is usually 1 month, 7 months, 12 months before you decide to purchase the technology? And I also want to touch on the pricing of technology, as I see lots of them being priced at value of the project, percentage of the value of the project, which I don't think is right. So your thoughts on this as well, please.
Yeah, this is a very touchy subject. Yeah. So
no easy questions here.
Yeah. No. So the first thing is when the decision is taken. So we try to balance between implementing a software like on a project or a solution, a complete solution, not just a software on just one project, and to be an enterprise-wide solution. So as I mentioned, we have pilot projects first. So we start on a project or some projects, and the decision is really varying. So if it's the right time, so let's say we are thinking about VR and AR, and we were contacted by a VR and AR supplier, then this might be the right time because we are actively looking for this solution provider. So that decision would be much faster. But there are other technologies which we still in the investigation phase, I would say. So the decision wouldn't be as quick as they want, I mean, the suppliers, because we are still assessing, we are not ready for this. And we might also assess the whole technology itself and see if it's still maturing or not. So I remember back in Dubai when I was working with one of the biggest contractors there, general contractors, we were assessing 3D printing in construction using concrete. At that time, 6 years ago or so, I don't think that this technology was ready. And there are lots of over-promising, and they were even showing footage. We are printing the first home in Dubai. We are doing this. We are doing that. But in reality, it is not there. I mean, they struggle a lot to even show this prototype and show how it was, came together. So in my opinion, the decision is according to the readiness, what we are, or according to the program or how we are doing things now, or what the stage of the program implementation. So this is the typical decision making. There is no set time. It's according to the situation. And for the pricing, I think it's a key one there, because I have seen all the flavors of pricing on the projects. Some, as you mentioned, using percentages. Now I have seen this trend of using tokens, just tokens, and increasingly in the AI related tools.
What is it about?
It's just tokens. So you have like a subscription, and then you have also you purchase tokens, and as you go, you use the tokens, and then you renew them. It's another thing. And another pricing solution is to have it as an enterprise thing, but also based on the volume of construction per year. I see this might be a good mix between the different pricing options, but also I think pricing is one of the main things which can take off the software or even bury it in the technology, technology world. So I have seen a software, I'll not name names for sure, but a software, it's really promising. And I think their pricing model, it is taking them back. Yeah. So it's really promising, and it was even using AI 6 years ago, not even 1 year ago, 6 years ago. And any construction professional would see the software in action. Yeah, this is what I want. But their pricing, I think this is what they hold them back. So pricing is a big thing for sure.
I agree. And I think that the whole reason for technology in any industry is to drive the cost towards zero of executing the job or helping the job to happen using this technology. The reason people price it quite high is that probably because of the business models and investors involved, etc. So it's becoming business within itself rather than to getting the technology to drive the prices further towards zero. So
Yeah, the centricity is in question, right?
Yeah, yes.
Are you construction centric or venture capital return centric?
Yeah, and in some cases, I see the involvement of investors. And don't get me wrong, it's a business. At the end of the day, they have to make profit. But in many cases, their pricing model or the investors would take down the implementation of technologies because they are more focused on the profit rather than the implementation of the actual technology. So if I implemented this kind of technology like AI in the construction, like vision AI, like progress tracking in construction, if I implemented this mode of AI in construction using models, then I might not get a lot of people buying my product because the reality is not a lot of companies or the mainstream of the companies are not using the model as the main tool. So why I would base my solution around the model? And in fact, if I'm an investor, 100%, this is the right decision. But I don't think it's good for the industry because it will lower the adoption. So now we are even more into the discouragement of using a model because all the solutions, even the robots now, I don't know if you saw this or not, a lot of robots are not using the model for their mapping, as an example. They just use 2D drawings. Give us 2D drawings. Okay. That tells you something, that there is a deep problem in the adaptation of digital transformation or digital construction in general, which is a reality, but also the new technologies and how they operate can also get down the implementation rate drastically.
Just the fact that you mentioned that the robots don't use 3D models is that probably because the models, the BIM is not that widely used, and that's why people know that there's 2D drawings that are mostly commonly used. And that's why the robots are designed to read these 2D drawings, which is a next question. Well, not next question, but it suggests that the BIM is not great technology itself because it's not easily widely adopted. It's not simple. It's very complicated, difficult. You need to be a specialist to use it. I don't want to sound negative about it, but it's just not something that it's solved.
No, I agree. I completely echo you. And that's why when we started this, we started with integrating this into the day-to-day construction, because the current state of BIM and VDC in the world, it's an added-on process. So people don't give it really a big trust or big care on when they are creating it. Man, they are just creating that. I mean, BIM itself is emerged from design firms as a replacement to AutoCAD to produce drawings, correct? So people were not even thinking about the model aspect at the time when BIM was introduced, and BIM was equivalent to Revit, as an example. Why? Because they only focused on the drawings creation aspect. However, it's more than that, and that's why I started saying with the digital transformation in mind. It was not treated as digital transformation for the industry. It was just treated like an added-on process.
It makes this. Something I'm curious about is like the volume of technology that you use within a company, because obviously there is only so much that you can actually use. So do you have like a stack, I guess, where you say we want like one solution in project management, one in design, one in reality capture? How does that look?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we try to keep this balance. We have our own stack, which we all the time use for different aspects of the environment's creation at least in digital transformation or digital construction, which we are doing. And then if we are introducing a new soft solution to what we do, then it will we will pass it through filters and assessment, as we discussed, so that we make sure that it fits into the overall picture. So innovation in itself, all the vendors reach out not only to the key personnel in companies, to every single person in the company. I don't know from where they are getting the contacts for every person in the company. But this is the reality. So you hear a lot of sounds about, I saw this really cool software. I want to implement this, which is something definitely encouraged. But if we just left it, without any control, we will be using thousands of software. Yeah. So it needs to fit into that bigger picture of what the technology stack, as you mentioned. And I don't like to name names because, the software names, because at the end of the day, it's a solution which satisfies a process. The process evolves and the software or the solution is no longer satisfying this process, then the solution also might change easily because, as we discussed, it talks to other software. So it is easily like a module. We are removing that software or solution, and then we are replacing with more fit module into the full stack which we are using.
All right, Mohamed. So one of the last questions from me, sustainability. So it is a growing focus in construction. How can technology be harnessed to promote sustainable building practices on construction site?
I'll take just one aspect which I see digital transformation or digital construction can massively assist in this aspect. So the embodied carbon, as an example, during the design and enhancing the embodied carbon or controlling what we introduce newly to the environment. So I worked with with a government entity here in Canada to introduce this idea of having the model like the submittal. It's not a new idea. I have seen it in Dubai, but it's lacking here, unfortunately. So, but I think there is growing now initiatives all over the country to have the model as a submission for approval when you are applying for a permit. So one of the aspects there, since you are already submitting a model and the design is designed into, in a model and every element knows what it is, it has a self-awareness, I would say. So we can add the embodied carbon in all the elements so that when we submit, all the designers and the general contractors, when they submit to the government or the municipality for applying for a permit, then you have a centralized location for all the embodied carbon, upcoming embodied carbon for at that time, we can enhance the overall embodied carbon level, I would say. So this is something which I see digital transformation or digital construction can massively help in this aspect because it's a centralized entity like the municipalities. They can control it right from the core. And in terms of other sustainability aspects as well, energy modeling, also we have people inside Bird who focus on energy modeling. We don't design ourselves. We are, at the end of the day, we are general contractors, but we help the clients to have this initial, sneak peek on how can energy modeling, by just tweaking few stuff, can make their building more efficient just by tweaking very few stuff there. Mm-hmm. So we have this internal capability and we are focusing on it because also we have a sustainability initiative inside Bird.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. And one last question then. My one would be, so for people, Mohamed, that are working maybe in, let's say, traditional construction roles like project management on site, I think you guys call it like superintendent, that kind of thing. How would they go about transforming or evolving their career into the digital construction space? Any advice and tips you can share?
Yeah,
Apart from listening to Bricks and Bytes.
Yeah, this is one thing for sure. Yeah, so I think people who are working in roles like this, like superintendent, project manager, assistant super foreperson, they are the right candidates for digital construction because they have the construction knowledge and they might have some technology exposure, or even they have zero exposure, but this can be easily taught, in my opinion, if they have the right mindset, for sure. So if they are willing and they have the right mindset, then these are the people we are seeking and we are trying to hire: the superintendents, the assistant supers, the experienced project managers and coordinators. So the first thing is to not fear the technology. So this is something, it's gradual. So I even tell every single person I meet that resistance to change is a human nature. Because if someone now came from this door, sorry, Owen?
Mohamed.
Okay. Yeah. So, my advice to superintendents or any construction professional who would like to seek like a career in digital construction, to not fear technology, because this is part of the process. So I always tell this to every single person I meet. So resistance to change is a human nature. This is something we human, one of the human aspects to defend themselves. I'm in my comfort zone. So if someone now came from this door and told me that there is a newer process better than BIM, and I will resist. This is human nature. So this is part of the process, and I think resistance is good, because now that means that you are changing something. If you didn't change anything, then there will be no resistance, for sure. So this is the first advice: not to fear the technology, just be part of the process, trust the process, and be open to is introduced to in the process, and give feedback as well. So just don't say, yeah, this doesn't work for me, or this will never work. Just give feedback, because even very small tweaks, it can enhance the process and it can make it work at the end of the day. Just don't make the process, obsolete by just not giving feedback.
Sounds very good. Lovely way to end. Mohamed, can you tell people where they can find out more about you?
Yeah, so I have my LinkedIn profile. I can give you the links in the description, of the, and also we can message. We can chat on LinkedIn, and if there is any further discussion, yeah, I'll take it from there on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Thank you very much, Mohamed.
Thank you for hosting me today.